1 hour ago, I found the black box of my marriage. And the weirdest part is, I wasn't even looking for it. I was just setting up an old phone for my daughter. She's 10. Today she was getting her first phone. Nothing fancy, just my wife's old Samsung that had been sitting in a drawer for years. So I grabbed it, plugged it in, and started clearing everything off. Old photos, random apps, nothing interesting, just normal stuff. At least, that's what I thought. Then I opened the messages, and that's when I saw a thread from 2023. At first, it didn't mean anything, just a name I didn't recognize. But something about it felt off. So I opened it, and I scrolled. And the moment I did, my stomach dropped. Because the messages weren't normal, not even close. They were sexual, explicit, photos, videos. The kind of messages you only send to someone you're sleeping with. And they weren't old. Well, they started in 2023, but they went on for months. Message after message, photo after photo. And every single one was between my wife and one of her coworkers. I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to convince myself I was misunderstanding something. Maybe it was before we were together. Maybe it was some weird joke. Maybe, but then I checked the dates. And that's when it got worse. Because those messages started during a time when my life was falling apart. A time when I was working 16-hour days, struggling with my health, trying to hold everything together. And the entire time, while I thought we were building a stronger marriage, my wife was sleeping with someone else. For 3 years, I had been living in the dark. And the worst part? My daughter was sitting in the next room, waiting for her new phone. And I was holding the thing that just destroyed my marriage. All because I opened an old phone. The crazy thing is, just a few minutes before that, I thought my marriage was doing great. Actually, I thought it was the best it had ever been. My wife and I have been married for 12 years. 12. And like every marriage, we've had rough patches. Stress, money problems, health issues, the usual stuff life throws at you. But the last few years, I genuinely believed we were stronger than ever. In fact, I had been working really hard on myself. 3 years ago, I made a huge change in my life. I lost 60 kilograms. 60. That's more than 100 pounds. It wasn't easy. It took discipline, dieting, exercise, doctor visits. A lot of days where I wanted to quit, but I pushed through. Because I wanted to be healthier, for myself, for my daughter. And honestly, for my marriage too. During that time, I was also working insane hours, 16-hour days sometimes, trying to keep everything together, bills, family, health, life. Looking back now, I thought all of that struggle was bringing us closer. I thought we were growing together, that we were building something stronger. But the phone in my hand was telling a completely different story. Because while I was losing 60 kilos, working 16-hour days, and trying to fix my life, my wife was sending those messages, those photos, those videos, to someone else. And the thing that hurts the most? I had absolutely no idea, not even a suspicion, not once. For 3 years, I believed everything was fine. But as I kept scrolling through those messages, I started realizing something even worse, something I wasn't ready for. The timeline. So I kept scrolling, slowly, message after message. At first I thought, maybe it only happened once. Maybe it was some stupid mistake, a moment of weakness, something that happened one night and then stopped. But the further I scrolled, the worse it got, because the messages didn't stop. They kept going, day after day, week after week, month after month. Flirting, jokes, photos, plans to meet, and eventually, things that made it very clear what was happening. They weren't just talking, they were sleeping together. And the worst part? It wasn't hidden in some complicated way. It was right there, in plain text, like they didn't even care, like I didn't exist. I saw hotel plans, lunch meetups, excuses about working late. And suddenly, things from the past started making sense. Moments I had completely ignored at the time. Times she said she had to stay at work. Times she came home late. Times she seemed distant. Back then, I thought she was just tired, just stressed, just dealing with life. Now I knew the truth. She wasn't working late. She was with him. And then I saw something that made my chest tighten, something I wish I hadn't seen. The first message, the very beginning of the thread. I checked the date, and that's when everything got even worse. Because that conversation started 3 years ago, right around the time my health problems started, right around the time I was working those 16-hour days, right around the time I was trying to fix my life. While I was struggling to keep everything together, she was starting an affair. And as I sat there, holding that phone, I realized something that made the whole situation even heavier. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a secret life, 3 years long, hidden inside a phone. And the woman sitting in the kitchen, just a few meters away from me, had no idea I had just discovered everything. I just sat there for a while, holding the phone, staring at the screen. My brain was trying to process everything. 3 years. 3 years of messages, photos, plans, lies. And the weirdest part? The house was completely normal. My daughter was in the living room, watching TV. My wife was in the kitchen, making dinner, like it was just another normal evening. But for me, everything had just changed. I quickly locked the phone and hid it inside the shed in the backyard, because at that moment I knew one thing. If I confronted her right away, it would explode. And I wasn't ready for that. Not with my daughter in the house. Not while I was still trying to understand what I had just seen. So I walked back inside, and a few minutes later, we were sitting at the dinner table, together, like always. My daughter was talking about school, about something that happened during recess. My wife was asking questions, smiling, laughing, acting completely normal. And I had to sit there, pretending everything was fine. Every time she spoke, I kept thinking about those messages, those photos, those plans. And the worst part? She looked at me the same way she always did, like nothing had changed, like we were just a normal family having dinner. But in my head, everything was different, because now I knew the truth. The woman sitting across from me had been lying to me for 3 years, and she had no idea that I had just discovered everything. That dinner felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life, My daughter laughing, my wife talking about her day. Normal conversation, normal smiles, normal everything. But inside my head, nothing was normal anymore. Because now every memory felt different. Every late night at work, every "I'll be home a little later," every moment I thought she was just stressed. Now I knew what was actually happening. She wasn't busy. She wasn't stressed. She was with him. And the thing that kept repeating in my head was one simple question. How many times? How many nights did she lie to me? How many times did she look me in the eyes, knowing exactly what she was hiding? Because this wasn't just cheating. This was 3 years. 3 years of pretending. 3 years of lies. And the worst part? I had absolutely no idea. Not once, not even a small suspicion. Which made me realize something that scared me even more. If she could hide this for 3 years, what else don't I know? After dinner, I sat alone for a while, just thinking. My daughter was excited about her new phone. My wife was cleaning the kitchen, and I was sitting there, trying to process the fact that my entire marriage had just collapsed. All because I opened a phone that had been sitting in a drawer for years. 12 years of marriage, memories, plans, a family. And somehow, the truth had been hiding in that device the whole time. 3 years of messages, 3 years of lies, 3 years of a life I knew nothing about. And now I'm sitting here, trying to figure out what happens next. Because once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. And tomorrow, I'm going to have to decide what to do. But tonight, I just keep thinking about one thing. All of this, all of it, was hidden inside an old phone. And all it took to find it was 5 minutes.